Everyone, get rebounds.
Take you on, headstrong to take on anyone. I know that you are wrong. Headstrong, we're headstrong. Back off, I'll take you on. Headstrong to take on anyone. I know that you are wrong, and this is not where you belong. I can't give everything away. I won't give everything away.
Coming into this year, obviously we had very high expectations. We wanted to perform at a very high level, but we also knew we had some challenges. We had lost a lot of good players to graduation and had a lot of key holes to fill. One of the unique things about this group of players this year was how hard they worked. Everyone wants to win, but not everyone's necessarily willing to do the things necessary. The hard work, being very coachable. And that's the one thing that really struck us from the very first day of camp and even before camp in the summer workouts was how much the kids wanted to learn, how much they wanted to get better.
Well, coming into the season, we were pretty optimistic, and previous years, the record hasn't shown how good our football team could be. But this year, we talked about it during lifting, and certain couple passing leagues we went to here and there, we really saw things start to come together as a football team.
Our schedule, I think, to start the year was probably one of the most difficult in the county. The three teams that we opened up with lost a combined 2 games last year in the regular season with Sun Valley, Strathaven, and Pencrest. So going into that, we knew obviously that was going to be one heck of a challenge. We needed to come out of there with a win, and we knew that would be very difficult. Of the 3 teams, we felt Sun Valley was the one that was closest to us. We've played them very tight in years past. Even when our final record wasn't what we wanted it to be and they had done very well, it was still a close competitive game. So we went in there and we had a great game. The kids played with effort that I hadn't seen in a long time. They played so hard. Defensively, we held them to 6 yards rushing. It was a phenomenal effort. Offensively, we moved the ball back and forth, but key drop here, missed block there, just weren't quite being able to capitalize on it. There was a nip and tuck back and forth. Brandon happened to catch a punt. Had an electrifying 70-yard return, put us up 7-0 with VT's kick, and defensively we just absolutely shut them down. It was a great opening win. Kids were really excited. It was nice for them to have played with such effort and to be rewarded with a win at the end. And that was a greght way to start the year.
Coming to the Sun Valley game, practiced for 2 weeks. We just got off of beating Penwood and Great Valley pretty well. And coming to Sun Valley, pretty much, I felt when we were on defense that we were good. We were unstoppable. We were strong.
For the past 3 years, we played them pretty tight. 2 years ago, losing 21-14. Last year, losing 14-7, I believe it was. We came in, we were looking for, some revenge. I mean, they took the first 2, and we said to ourselves, hey, we're going to turn around. We're going to take this one. Offensively, we moved the ball up and down the field. Quarter after quarter, we just couldn't punch it in, put points on the board. And, defense played exceptionally well, made stops when we needed it, and, forced punts. And luckily, Brandon Wesley caught a good break and returned one for a touchdown, only 7 points of the game. The special teams played well. Defensively, Joe O'Shea, Andrew Shivitz, George Phillips, the linebackers, linemen, secondary, they all played well. They all came together as a unit and, put the shutout up on the board.
The next 2 weeks, with Strathaven and Pencrest, they were frustrating. They were tough games, and we weren't executing like we needed to. We had a very difficult time moving the ball offensively. Defensively, the one thing I think we started to realize was to trust in the call. We were in the right position. We just needed to then make the play. And one of the things that, obviously we learned that lesson because over the next 3 weeks, we had 2 shutout wins. 3 on the season going back to Sun Valley. So the kids really learned to trust that they're going to be put in that right position do the best of their ability, execute the scheme, and they're going to do very well. Although it's a difficult lesson to learn playing two excellent teams, Strathaven, perennial playoff team, Pencrest, the last 2 years, two of the best teams they've ever had. But they learned that, and it really served well as the season progressed.
I like going to the Strathaven game. They're good. They're nationally ranked. Their line is much larger than ours. I mean, they have Peck. He's going to Wisconsin. At tight end, we have Justin Piatti. He's like 5'11", 145 pounds. And then you have Peck at like 6'2", probably like 215. So, I mean, there was a big difference in size and strength going up against Strathaven.
All right, coming to Pencrest, it was probably the wettest game I've ever played in. Rain on and off. It was like playing in a monsoon. You know, we really had to rely on the running game. The passing game wasn't going very well at all. A few good points, you know, had Andre broke a couple of runs here and there. You know, I eventually got to hit Justin in the end zone fourth quarter. You know, too bad it was too late to, you know, start anything positive, but we just, you know, put the points on the board instead of, you know, coming out with a goose egg. We really weren't executing to a point where we could be successful for, you know, not just Pencrest, but for Strathaven the previous week. And we really had to figure out, you know, what we're going to do coming into the next weeks in order to become successful.
The Radnor game this year was huge. Radnor was our homecoming game, and we got off to a real lousy start. The previous 2 weeks we had not been executing very well on either side of the ball, and we carried that into that game. And for the first quarter, even quarter and a half, we were really not playing very well. Fortunately, we were able to rally. You know, here it is, homecoming. It's a huge game, and Jason really offensively put the team on his shoulders and said, "Hey, let's go." We drove down the field, you know, combination of touchdown passes. Josh Kelly did a real nice job of running the ball that game.
Radnor, homecoming, you know, you got everybody there. A lot of alumni played. And, you know, they were all there expecting to see a good game. Radnor dropped 22 points on us in the first quarter. First 3 times they touched the ball, they put, you know, 3 touchdowns up. After the first quarter, we sort of got together and, you know, just sort of rallied together. We said, you know, we're going to move the ball up and down the field, do whatever it takes, put points on the board.
Well, defensively, we made a lot of key plays defensively. Again, after allowing them 22 points to start the game, we shut them down from that point forward. We scored 22 points in the last 4 minutes of the second quarter, really developing a lot of momentum, carrying through halftime and scoring our first possession out. Our comeback was catalyzed not only by our offensive play, and Jason was leading the way, but as well our defensive effort. Here we'd allowed them to move the ball and score almost randomly. And once we got that first score, we completely shut them down. Andrew Shivitz made a great play to set up our third score in that second quarter, really bring us all the way back and tie it up. And defensively, again, we just did a great job of shutting them down.
And at that point, it was 22-20. We went for 2. Sort of a play, you know, drop in the dirt. It's more like a sandlot play. I was able to hit Brandon Wesley on a little 5-yard hook play for the 2-point conversion. At that point, it was 22-22. We really took that momentum into the locker room, came back out. I think we kicked off, yeah, and you know, we forced them to punt. Defense stopped them again, and you know, you had Joe Shea, George, most of the defense in on every play, putting hats on the ball, and you know, really turning something good into you know, something better for the offense to rally on and drive down. I hit Brandon in the end zone for about a 17-yard touchdown, puts us up 29-22, and we really didn't look back after that. You know, defense stepped up. Favorite moment was probably Radnor. 2 years ago, as a sophomore, I mean, Kevin Mulkern goes down, I come in the third game-winning touchdown pass, and then fast forward 2 years. Now, you know, we're down 22 points. We rally together, make a 22-point comeback at half, and I end up throwing the game-winning touchdown. So it was sort of like a, you know, flashback to sophomore year.
During the Radnor game, I would say that was a fun game. It was hard fought. It was scrappy. They beat us last year, and then we beat them my sophomore year. Well, pretty much during the Radnor game, they would just give the ball to Nicholson. They would just run the ball, or they would do the midline option with the quarterback. They would fake to Nicholson, and then. So going into that game, we had to rely on what our coaches taught us. Like the linebackers had the fullback no matter what, and the quarterback was taken by the outside linebackers in case we had a misread or misalignment or something like that. So as soon as we started to get the hang of that, everything went well, and we held them for 22 points the rest of the game, and then we came back and won the game in the second half.
And you know, we sort of rebounded from the previous 2 weeks and said, let's get it done, and we got it done. Friday was sort of a neat thing, we're getting out. Team got out at 11 o'clock, preparation to get everything done. And we went through a normal routine as if it was a Saturday afternoon game. And, it was really neat to see the whole school come out and actually enjoy, high school football game. See us drive down, I think it was 3 plays. I hit Brandon across the middle for a 38-yard touchdown. And, it was really cool looking over at the stands and just seeing everybody, going crazy and actually seeing, Springfield high school football, win football games. And after that first touchdown, we didn't look back. Defense forced him on a 3-and-out. Brandon returned another punt, second punt return of the year for a touchdown. It's 14-0. And Andre Nelson played unbelievable. He had over 200 yards rushing. I believe he had a touchdown and a couple catches. Other than that, we gave Mike Vittori a couple series quarterback. He played well. And it really showed that our depth, from a talent standpoint, we have people in the depth chart that can back people up, and you can rely on them to be successful.
And what we wanted to do is take that momentum we generated the week before and take it right onto the field and just pick up right where we left off. And that's exactly what we were able to do. In the first quarter, we had our first possession. We drove the length of the field and scored. Kicked off, 3-and-out. Brandon fielded a punt, returned it for a second punt return for a touchdown, really catalyzing the team. Yeah, there were a lot of big plays. Andre Nelson had a real nice touchdown run. I think he broke it about 60, 70 yards, where he was able to take it around down their sideline and bring it back across. But the one thing you notice in all the runs was that the downfield blocking, the receivers were so aggressive going after people. It was every opportunity they could possibly get to put somebody on their back they were doing. It was a great thing to see. Mark capped off with a touchdown run himself. We had multiple players scoring. It was really a total team effort. Defensively, we completely shut them down. This was another shutout win for us. It was highlighted probably with Randy Roberts making his interception that he returned for a touchdown, which was a real nice play. Our coverage was rocking down, just read the quarterback, made a great play on the ball, and then was aggressive to return it for a touchdown, really kind of put the nail in the coffin to put them away.
Going to the Haverford game, it was pretty cool because, the whole school was there. It was at 2 o'clock. Football players got out at 11. Never played on a Friday afternoon. There was a lot of people there, and the football team was there to show, the school what we could do, So I think that got us pumped up, and we came out of the gates pretty physical. I wish we came out like that at every game, because if we came out like that in the Upper Darby game, Pancras game, I think it would be a different game. It'd be more exciting. And with the Haverford game, I think that was a fun game. We were just a better team overall. The key play that you remember during Haverford is my favorite one when Jesse James had an interception and got hawked down by the biggest kid on the team. That was pretty funny. Everybody laughed. It's pretty embarrassing for Jesse, but everybody got a chuckle out of it. He should have scored, but it's funny.
Going into Marple, we were a little undermanned. We had lost Paul due to being ill. We'd had this real nasty illness, run through our whole team. We had lost Pat Mulker, Joey O'Shea was out for part of a game, and here we'd lost Paul, and so we're already a little bit undermanned. Came out, we made a lot of mistakes from an execution standpoint. We were playing hard, but we were not playing very smart. We carried a small lead in at halftime. We were able to score, fortunately, one more time than they did. We win 12-6. A couple positives from the Marple game. Andre Nelson was able to break the 100-yard mark, carrying the ball. He had 2 touchdowns, which obviously also means that big breakdown. They get the ball inside our 30, are able to score. We come right back and block the extra point. Huge play. Then we get the ball back.
You know, I guess we wanted to become the home wreckers, you know. Series, we were really aggressive, but there were certain mistakes that, you know, it didn't really hurt us at all. Andre Nelson ran the ball really well, scored our first touchdown. Fundamental on defense, going back and forth. The special teams also, obviously, coming in Thursday afternoon, Tommy Vontenhausen comes down sick with a virus, and Friday morning I come into school, and Coach he says, you know, you got to learn how to punt. And I said, all right, you know, I mean, it's something that I've done before. I'm comfortable with it. One of the punts that I had, it ended up traveling 40 in the air, I believe, and it ended up bouncing 30 more. So it was like a 72-yard punt. Put them inside their 2. They ended up gaining about 8 yards, put them on their 10-yard line. They couldn't get anything going from there. Punted the ball back to us. Brandon Wesley fields it about the 45-yard line, makes a great return down to about the 12-yard line, and Andre was, you know, fortunate enough to punch it in and put us up 12-6. So other than that, I mean, the defense played well. They gave up 1 first down in the second half. And, you know, we really wanted to keep the streak going.
In the Marple game, we were 4-2. Upper Darby was 5-1. So we had a nice little playoff scenario here. Already the buzz had started going around the team and around the school that the way things were progressing, if we were able to win a few more games, the playoff picture was a reality. In Upper Darby, unfortunately, we weren't able to capitalize on a lot of mistakes. We were in positions to make plays on both sides of the ball, and it was a missed opportunity. Played hard, but we made a lot of mistakes. I think it was probably capitalized best when Andrew Shivitz on the sideline in the second half, just kind of sitting there, kind of frustrated and disappointed, saying, man, if we only came out, played the first half like we're playing now, we could have won this game. We scored late, touchdown from Jason to Andre, and again, a little bit too little, a little bit too late. We missed an opportunity to really make a statement. The question was, could we learn from that?
It would have been a different game if we played the first half the way we played the second half.
A lot of things weren't going right. Execution standpoints, you know, blocking schemes weren't being executed to where they could, you know, where we could be successful, gain yards. You know, we moved the ball a couple times. I was fortunate enough to find Andre in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. At that point, it was 24-6, 1 for 2, missed it, and you know, that's how it ended up.
In the Lower Mary game was pretty exciting for me because I had my first touchdown. Edward blocked the punt with Shivitz. I really was comfortable with. I really enjoy playing on punts because he's fast off the line, so am I. We always got good penetration, and we always came within a foot of blocking a punt. Yeah, I want to thank Shea for helping me block the punt and the touchdown I got. That was pretty fun. Lower Merion was another exciting game because we actually pulled away. During the seasons, when we played with bad teams and we let them hang around, bad things would happen, but we just pulled away with them and played the best we could throughout the whole game. Instead of just letting a bad team hang around and they could beat us, like in the Marple game, and we let them hang around and they almost beat us.
We started that game off with a huge punt block. Joe O'Shea and Andrew Shivitz busting through the line, blocking the opening punt. Joe scooping up, returning, I think, for his only high school touchdown, which, as a linebacker and offensive lineman, you don't get too many opportunities. And talk about taking advantage of one, he really did. I'm sure it felt great. It was kind of funny because I looked through the game program just the other day, and in there was a message from one of his parents trying to score a touchdown this year. So it was kind of a neat thing.
We went into that game after Upper Darby, and we said, you know, we don't want to start to have a losing streak again. I mean, we had a 3-game winning streak and then get snapped by Upper Darby, but we want to get back on the winning track. And coming into Lower Merion, we knew that they weren't a strong football team. From a personnel standpoint, they had a quarterback who was, you know, a playmaker. He could make things happen on the field. And we knew we had to neutralize him, we had to shut him down. We had to prevent him from running, getting out of the pocket and, you know, making plays from there. We had to shut down the receivers. We really switched our defense around. We went from I think it was a 4-3, we went to a nickel personnel. You know, I came on, and we rotated Justin down to outside backer, and we sort of, you know, shifted around to where we'd have the best personnel on the field to be successful. The nickel package actually worked really well. We shut down Lower Merion's quarterback.
After Upper Darby, we had Lower Merion, and one of the side stories to all the football that was going on this year was that Coach Smink and Coach Bell were both expecting their first children. And their wives were going back and forth. It was kind of a contest of who was going to have the child first, and it turned out that during the week of Lower Merion, Jim's wife Joy gave birth to their son Eddie. You know, everybody was healthy, everything was great, but what that meant was, from our standpoint, was a little shuffling from a coaching responsibility standpoint and adjusting. But it was a great, you know, neat opportunity. Obviously, everybody was real happy for him. You know, it's not every day you get 50 boys trying to, you know, see if somebody had a baby or not. It's kind of a neat thing. We had a lot of kids unavailable for that game, and really relied on 2 guys up front. We had a couple guys starting that were in positions they hadn't been accustomed to. Fortunately, John Chivarelli, as a sophomore, was returning finally from injury. We leaned on him very heavily. Darryl Buck moved into the guard slot opposite, and we leaned on him very heavily and said to Joe O'Shea as our captain, hey, you know, you're going to take us to a win, or we're not going to be successful. Generally, you try to disguise the things that you want to do. As a coach, you don't want to tip your hand and everything. We flat out just said we're going to run behind Joe. And what we did is we took Shav and Joe, we flip-flopped them wherever we wanted to go. We wanted to run right, they were on the right. We wanted to run left, they were on the left. We wanted to counter, they were pulling. Which you sit there and say, boy, well, they knew it was coming. They did. One of the things is we felt very confident that we were better. We were better players, we were a better team. Andre had 180 yards rushing that day. It was a huge breakout, but it was only because of the blocking up front, Josh from the fullback spot, and again, the increased confidence that we had as a team. Defensively, again, our 3rd shutout win. Kids played incredibly hard. Brandon Wesley did a nice job with fumble recoveries, as did Kieran Kelly. Jason Schatz had his interception. Really, the kids did an excellent job. We, again, had shuffled some people around. Some people were in some different spots. Everyone rose to the occasion. It's a great team win. Here we are, 5-3.
Final score, Springfield 38 and Lower Merion 0.
With the 3 teams coming up, we had Conestoga, Ridley, and Ben Salem. With Conestoga and Ridley, we know we had 2 very quality league opponents. Conestoga had been improving throughout the year. The one thing they had done better than we had was play well in the big games. They played Ridley very tight. They beaten Pencrest. They played Strathaven very close. They played Upper Darby very close. We had not been able to do that when we had our opportunities, so we knew it was going to be a tough game. To our kids' credit, they played incredibly hard. Intensity was there, desire was there, the effort was there, but we continued to make too many mistakes, particularly on offense. We were very ineffective in moving the ball. We had a great goal line stand defensively, shutting them down, but unfortunately, if you can't move the ball, if you can't put it in the end zone, you're not going to win the game. We were down 12-3 at half, 19-3 was the final. Again, we had some opportunities here or there, a couple calls that didn't go our way, but we didn't do enough good things to make that a victory for us.
Conestoga was our senior day. You know, coming out in the first quarter, we played real aggressive, real hard. Conestoga is a big football team. They can move the ball. They got some good kids. I know we were unfortunate. The defense was unfortunate. A couple bad breaks, a couple bad calls.
Stoga was probably the most physical game I played this year. All of my teammates, I mean, me and Justin P.I., the next couple of days, we were just sore as anything. Going into practices, we were still sore. That was a very physical game. They ran the ball, just power game. They were strong kids. They're much stronger than last year. They were going to the Ridley Week, I mean, to me, it's just another game, but a lot of people from Springfield say it's, like, different. I mean, I love playing against Ridley because they're the toughest kids I play against. They're scrappy, they're small, and they get the job done. That's how I wish we played. And if we came out, I wish we came out of the gates a little more hard and just put it to them, but...
Ridley, you know, it's always a rivalry on Halloween night, you know, at Ridley, under the lights. The atmosphere is probably, it's the biggest game that you could ever play as a Springfield High School football player. We really couldn't get things going.
Andrew Shivitz made a really good play where he penetrated, tackled a kid for a loss, and caused a fumble. Andrew did that all year long from the nose position. One of the best noses around, I believe, creating havoc, causing problems for the opponent. Brandon had an interception where he came off this kid as he ran a post route, came across, made a nice play on the ball, nice return to thwart one of their scoring drives early in the game, which was nice. And what we saw in the Ridley game was Mike Keenan, as a sophomore, kind of starting to emerge as a leader in the secondary. He had 13 tackles. He was our leading tackler that game. Did a very nice job of quarterbacking the secondary, calling the defensive fronts and coverages and rotations based on the formations. And he really started to emerge, and obviously we expect a lot of things from him in the future as well. With Ben Salem, there were a lot of things going on. First of all, Coach Bell's wife, Tina, had their baby, Jenna. Also, again, everybody very healthy, everything going great. But again, it's one of those things, you know, Coach Britt all week was ready to take the defense over and not sure what was going to happen with that. And Chris was able to return and call the defense. And as, again, our defense played very well. Basically, we're down 6-0 until the last few minutes of the game. Defensively, we played very strong. Had a lot of good reads. They were a little bigger than us. They were a little stronger than us. Their power game wore us down. The other factor is we wanted to show them that last year was not the way we play football and what playing football really was all about with us. Playing very clean, playing very hard, disciplined, not making, you know, silly mental mistakes, not getting caught up in the taunting, name-calling kind of stuff that just doesn't belong in the game. And I thought we did that pretty well. We had Justin Williams as a freshman make his first start. For us, he'd been playing varsity all season long, missed a chunk in the middle because he'd been injured, had been coming back, and, you know, made a first start as a true freshman. You know, here he is playing guard, blocking down on a tackle who's 6'1", 315. You know, that's a learning experience. But in reality, he did a very nice job with that. Unfortunately, as an offense, we weren't able to execute as much as we'd like to. Additionally, with the success that Michael Fattori had been having throughout the season and with Jason's versatility as an athlete, we decided for the last game to have Michael play quarterback, help him prepare for the future, and allow Jason to showcase his talents as a receiver. Jason ended with 5 catches. I thought he had more than that. He was obviously very integral in what we were doing offensively. Michael did a nice job of making his reads and throwing the football, spreading the ball around. Kind of a little glimpse to what we may be like in the future with him at quarterback. Again, defensively, we continue to play very well. We won the turnover battle, as we had throughout the season. We had turnovers from Brandon. Kieran recovered 1. Mark caused and recovered 1. as had Brandon earlier. Andrew Shivitz continued to make great plays from the nose, causing penetration, havoc, multiple sacks and tackles for loss. Joey continued to play real well from the linebacker spot, and really defensively, I think we came together throughout the year and played very well. Even in some of our losses, defensively, we played real well.
Texas, yeah, Texas, and we had some fun. 'Cause we met some girls, some dancers who have a good time. We broke all the rules, yeah, played all the fools, yeah. Yeah, we blew their minds. I was shaking at my knees. I could come again, please. Yeah, the ladies were too kind, 'cause you've been thunderstruck. Thunderstruck. 'Cause you've been thunderstruck. Yeah, you've been thunderstruck.
Although we had very many talented underclassmen who played a great role in everything we did, we also had a number of seniors who did an excellent job. Offensively, we continued to be led by Jason, the quarterback. Jason did a great job. Not only does he have a physical talent, but also did a great job of leading, which was something that was new to him, being a first-year captain. Brandon Wesley was our big playmaker, both from the receiver spot, running the ball in reverses, on special teams with his punt and kick returns. Defensively, Joey O'Shea continued to be a leader, led by example, played at a very high level. He's a 2-year starter at linebacker, our leading tackler for the 2nd year in a row. Andrew Shivitz made great contributions from the nose, again, constantly causing disruption. One of the coaches in the league said they felt he was the best nose around, which is a high compliment to Andrew. Kieran Kelly, very opportunistic, had more fumble recoveries than I can remember. Really did a nice job of being in the right spot at the right time. I think his interception in the Ben Salem game towards the end of the year was a highlight of that, where he happens to be blitzing, peels off, covers a guy, and makes an interception literally from on his back. Just a very athletic play, but he was very good always around the ball. Justin Piatti did everything you could ask for a kid and more, playing tight end for us, way undersized, was one of our lockdown corners. Pat was one of our leading receivers coming in. Unfortunately, in Pat's case, he got sick and missed about 4 weeks in the middle of the season. Fortunately, he was able to return to us because he was one of our top offensive weapons. So, although we did have a lot of underclassmen contribute and a lot of guys play very well, we had some very key seniors who were able to perform and did a very nice job for us.
Seniors, I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, I'd like to thank you guys. I've been playing with, 5 or 6 of them since I was 6 years old. Pat Mulkern, Brandon Wesley, Kieran Kelly, Joe Shea, Matt Wharton, Lafferty, McCole. I mean, all you guys. We've all been together since freshman year. George Phillips. Just want to thank all you guys. It was really fun. High school football is like the best 4 years that you could ever have. So I mean, and this year you made it. It was like the icing on the cake. It was probably the best year that I've ever had with this group of seniors and the team of underclassmen that are going to succeed for us next year.
The future's continues to look very bright. We had, for a lot of different factors, a lot of young people playing. Our sophomore class is particularly talented, and we had more sophomores, I think, playing varsity than at any time that I can remember. Couple the fact that not only were they playing varsity, but they were playing varsity at a very high level, winning games, playing well. Along with the juniors that played and are returning, obviously things do look bright for next season. One of the things we need to continue is to have the competition across the board at all the positions, and in order to take that next step to go from a good football team, which we were this year, to where we want to be, one of the best around, is that what you're going to be doing in the off season is that work ethic. Take every opportunity, every day, to do whatever you can to make yourself a little bit better athlete, a little stronger, a little faster, a little bigger. Every little step between now and next season will capitalize and come as a great result next year, obviously, and hopefully us getting some more wins.
My experience as a football Cougar player was pretty fun. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot from the coaches at linebacker position, and I probably learned the most at Springfield High School about linebacker from Coach Britt and Coach Heath. And I had a lot of fun memories with the guys in the locker room and stuff. And on the field, it was pretty fun.
Even though things didn't go our way in some games, there were more positives than negatives. And I think that the underclassmen, they can definitely take the positives that they got from this season and follow through with it in next year and the years after that. So, I mean, just take the positives, keep going with it, and, successful things will come from them.
Don't the best of them.